3 ways to avoid overthinking. Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about 3 ways that you can avoid overthinking. So as someone who is definitely someone who has struggled with overthinking in the past, and sometimes I still struggle with it, depending on the situations going on in my life, like obviously sometimes are more stressful than others. But usually when you're going through a period of stress, when you're going through some kind of inner turmoil, you do tend to overthink things a lot. Okay. So, as someone who has struggled with overthinking, these are 3 things that I do that helps me stop overthinking, or at least to give my brain a break when I am realizing that, oh my God, I'm overthinking, I need to slow down. How can I do this? So the first way to avoid overthinking is to do tasks that require deep concentration. So when you feel like you're overthinking, when you can't really shut your brain off, then do something that requires a lot of concentration. So I have a list here of activities that you can do to start concentrating more on other things and get yourself out of your head basically. And that is to something like reading, and I don't mean listening to audiobooks, actually with a physical book or reading something on your phone. So reading books, reading articles, any time that you are having to read, it really helps you concentrate better, because reading something physical like a book or something, it does require a lot of concentration. I know sometimes when you read your mind can drift, but if you're really fully concentrating on the book and you kind of catch yourself from being unfocused, you can get back into the zone, especially if it's something that you enjoy reading. So don't just read anything, read something that that you will concentrate on. So if you like fiction, let's say you like books like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or something like that, fantasy books, then read those kinds of books. Don't just pick up anything and start reading it. Make sure it's something that you have a genuine interest in or something. Something else is cooking. So obviously when you're cooking something, when you're chopping and things like that, and that requires a lot of concentration. Something else is writing. Writing also requires a lot of concentration. Something like art, like painting or playing an instrument, that also requires deep concentration to be able to do it right. And also video games as well. Sometimes some video games can be really, really intense and require a lot of focus. So do stuff like that. Do things that require a lot of focus when you're going through a period where you're just overthinking. And if you're enjoying the video so far, then please do leave a like on it, and please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if there's anything you'd like me to discuss in a future video, then please leave it down in the comments. So the second way to avoid overthinking is something that I've recently adopted within the last year, and that is practicing Stoicism. Now, Stoicism, if you're not familiar with it, is just an ancient philosophy that was created by the ancient Greeks. Kind of like a good place to start would be with philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus and Seneca. I'll give you a few resources that can get you a head start on learning how to do Stoicism, learning the philosophy and the mindset around Stoicism. And that is if you follow Stoic Reflections on Instagram, or there's another page called The Daily Stoic, which is by Ryan Holiday. And you can also find Stoic quotes on YouTube if you prefer videos. One of my favorites is from a channel called Red Frost Motivation, and there's ones by Epictetus. But obviously it would be really good if you could get the books by Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. You should, because they're so old, you should be able to find really cheap versions of them on eBay and stuff like that. But start practicing Stoicism, because that's really helped me calm my mind down. It's really helped me look at life in a more calmer view, a lot more of a sensible view, rather than the kind of the weird world our brain kind of creates when we start overthinking. So the third way to stop overthinking as much is to become more present. I made a video recently which was a guided meditation on how to get into the now, which will help you become present, because So I highly recommend that you go and do that meditation, because if you're someone who does overthink, then usually what's going on is you're either reliving in your head past events, or you're focusing on future imagined events, or trying to figure out how the future is going to be, which obviously none of us can really predict that much. I mean, sometimes we can make some kind of good predictions on how the future is going to be, but mostly the future is kind of in a state of where it's, I guess you could say it's kind of like up in the air. Like you can kind of think how the future is going to go, but you're never going to know until you actually get to that point. So if you're overthinking, you're either living in the past or you're living in the future, or you are thinking about people or events that are out of your control. Especially if you are overthinking about someone that you have a crush on, or someone that you like, someone that you're in love with, someone that you're in a relationship with. Like, you can't really overthink about other people, because there's not really much you can do about other people. You can't really control their opinions that much. You can't really control what they're going to do. So if your overthinking surrounds a person, then you need to understand that there's not really much you can do about that other person, because they're going to make the sort of decisions on their own time. There's not really much you can do. So it's kind of unrealistic to overthink too much about how you're going to behave around someone, because they're going to have their opinion anyways and their judgments anyways. So it's best to kind of let go of those kinds of things. So learning to become more present in that meditation will help you stop living in the past or in the future projections, or it will help you with your desire to want to control other people and wanting to control their opinions of you and things like that. When I say control, I don't mean actually controlling people like you're a tyrant. I just mean like when you tend to overthink about people, and this is something that I've definitely done, and sometimes I still do. Like I'm worried so much about other people's opinions of me, but there's really not really much you can do about other people's opinions of you. I mean, you can always put your best foot forward, but you can't necessarily, even if you put your best foot forward, that might not necessarily mean that they're not going to judge you in some way. So that's something to consider. And I'm going to give you a bonus way to stop overthinking, which I think is really good and really practical. And that is to write it down. So let's say you're overthinking something during the night and you can't go to sleep because you're just overthinking. Write it down. Like whatever is rolling around in your head, just write it down. You can do it on a memo on your phone. You can write it down on a piece of paper. If it's something that you don't want other people to see, then after you've written it down, you can just throw it away. But try to get it down. Whatever's bothering you, try to get it down on paper or on a memo on your phone before you go to bed. And if you do that and you kind of do something called, it's like called a brain dump. And it's a term that I actually learned from a motivational speaker called Mel Robbins. And basically a brain dump is basically where you just get everything that is just kind of clouding your head onto paper, so you can, focus on what really matters. So, if you're having that kind of experience before you go to bed or before some kind of social interaction, write down what's bothering you, write down your fears, and then hopefully by putting it down on paper or on a memo on your phone, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to make much more sense of it. At least that's what I found anyway when I do those kinds of things. So those are 3 ways on how to avoid overthinking, with obviously that bonus one at the end. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like help with me and you would like coaching with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. You'll be able to find a link for that website down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.